My guests today are Chip Hiden and Alexis Irvin, the team behind the DreamShare Project, film, and workshops, which are conducted on college campuses nationwide. In 2010, Chip and Alexis quit their unfulfilling desk jobs and grabbed their cameras to hit the road for a coast-to-coast road trip. Along the way, they interviewed 30 different professionals from all walks of life. Their mission was to discover what makes people tick, and specifically, how did these individuals turn their passion into a profession? Their first book, Build Your Dreams: How to Make a Living Doing What You Love, published by Running Press, is available in bookstores and online. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, so what went through your mind when you decided to quit your jobs? I mean, was that like a moment of temporary insanity or clarity for you, knowing that this is what you really wanted to do?
A couple months after graduating college, we were fortunate enough to find jobs in a tough economy and consider ourselves pretty lucky for that. However, as time went on, we sort of realized that these jobs were not our passion. These weren't things that we wanted to commit ourselves to for our life, you know. So we sort of came up with this idea: how can we find out how people discover their passion, and how do people turn that idea into reality? So we came up with the plan for the road trip, and the day we sort of left our jobs and hit the road was all at once exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Was it exciting for you, Alexis?
It was very exciting, definitely scary, I think, right? But we were really excited. Once we got in the car, we were all packed up, and we had this crazy plan to make a movie. So it was kind of like, are we actually going to do it?
And you did it.
You did it.
Was there a particular story that stood out to you after you were back home and editing, and did you find something that really resonated with you?
I think kind of in general, a thread that I noticed in everyone that we spoke with, people that had career changes, people that had started their own business, a nonprofit, people that were in the entertainment industry, everyone was so excited and said, I love waking up and going to work. I want to do more work. And that was really what we were looking for. How do we find that thread ourselves? What's going to be our passion? So it was so awesome to talk to all of these people who had found their niche and had turned what they wanted to do for fun into a job.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, most people go to their job and look at the clock and when's it going to be 5 and when can I go home?
Exactly.
These people we were speaking with looked at the clock and there was never enough hours in the day to do this work that they were so in love with.
So when did you decide that you would package this into a workshop and actually take it on the road and go to college campuses? And talk to me a little bit about what you offer in your workshop.
Sure. So we went on our road trip in 2010. We were gone for 3 months, and then we came home. We had to get jobs once again because we were totally broke. So it took us almost about exactly a year, and we went to our jobs during the day, and then we would edit the film during the night. And we did a Kickstarter campaign to raise money for music, photographs that we used in the movie. So by 2011, in that summer, we had kind of wrapped up editing. We were almost done with everything, and we thought that college campuses would be a perfect place to show the film. We thought that students could relate to us. We had just graduated, and it was kind of more of a fun way to start talking about jobs, careers, choosing a major, what you're going to do after you graduate.
So what we did from there is we just started contacting career centers at the college campuses in sort of the Maryland, Virginia, Delaware area, and started visiting them. And from there it just took off. I mean, we've done it 4 semesters now, doing about usually 30 colleges a semester. And at this point, I think we've done like 130 college visits and workshops. So what we do when we visit is we show the film, which is about an hour long, and then right after it we jump into the workshop, which is about a half hour, and it takes the lessons from the film, applies it directly to the students' lives, helping them figure out and answer that question, what is my dream, and how can I start exploring it right now on campus, and sort of making an action plan.
Yeah, that must be really rewarding for you to be able to see people actually making these decisions on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had students come up to us and say, thank you so much. I've realized that I want to choose this major and study this thing that I'm really passionate about, or I've realized I'm on the wrong path. I need to switch my major and try this.
Right.
But we've always thought it'd be really interesting if there was a way we could check in with these students like 10 years from now and see if they're hopefully living their dreams and finding work that is fulfilling. So
Yeah.
we always get email addresses, so maybe one day we'll do a little survey and see what everybody's up to.
Right. So when did you decide that this was going to be your business and your actual career? Because this is what you're doing full time, right?
Well, after we did the first semester, so we did those first 15 events, and then we started contacting schools again for the spring, and based on the amount of responses we were getting back, we kind of realized that doing all of these events could become our full-time job.
Right.
So we decided to leave. We left in January 2011, our full-time jobs, and took on the DreamShare project as the new 9 to 5.
Wow. So how's it been so far?
It's been so much fun. We get to travel all over the country,
Right.
which we love taking road trips, and we just get to see all these beautiful parts of the country, and we get to meet all these fascinating students and talk with them about their dreams. And you know, it's when you're doing something entrepreneurial, the first couple years might not be huge paychecks and everyone celebrating it. So there was definitely a part where, you know, we have to be very conscious of how much money we spend, trying to cut back on expenses, but we've sort of grown to love sort of the thrifty, living on the road, living by your, you know, on pennies sort of lifestyle. It's a lot of fun, and we really love doing it.
So some people will listen and hear that and say, wow, you must be crazy to like living on pennies, but obviously you're doing something that you really love. Do you think that a lot of people play it safe when it comes to pursuing a career because they think, well, this is what I have to do because my mom and dad told me to do it, or because I have responsibilities now, I have a family? What advice would you give to those people, and do you think that they are playing it safe?
Well, definitely all the concerns that you just mentioned. We always talk to students about all this stuff at all the shows. My parents want me to do this, but I don't want to do that. I just picked this major. I think I could get a job. People don't really know.
Yeah, I think a lot of students and young people in particular sort of struggle with parental disapproval of their dream, if you will. For example, Alexis's mom, my parents were very worried about us when we quit our jobs and said, we're going to go on a road trip and make a movie. We didn't study filmmaking, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So that's a lot of the same, and the people we interviewed all had similar stories. But I think the advice we always give to students is, when you're explaining your dream to your parents or your loved ones, approach the conversation like a court case. Like you have to have evidence that this success is possible. So we always recommend doing research, finding examples of success. Here are 3 people doing something similar that I want to do. Here's how they did it. Here's how I plan to follow that. With that sort of taking a risk, it becomes less and less risky. The more research, the more knowledge you have, the more of a solid step-by-step plan you have. And again, never forgetting the financial part of, here's how much I'm willing to invest in this now, here's what I think it would earn me over time. You know, we definitely don't tell people to just go for your dreams and don't worry about money, it'll all work out. Our advice is always keep the financial part of it in mind. Do what makes you happy, do what you love, but also have a way to pay the bills.
Right. Would you add anything to that, Alexis?
Yeah, I think a lot of people that we interviewed during our initial road trip, lots of people said that they had this period where they'd come up with this idea of what they wanted to do or a career change, and then so they were doing their dream work at the nighttime, on the weekends and off hours, and then during the day they're going to their 9 to 5, they're taking care of their kids. So it's kind of like a double life, and hopefully what you want to get to is that you'll be able to do the dream stuff during the day.
It's a gradual transition, usually, you know, a couple years of doing both things to be able to pay the bills and do what you're passionate about. It's very rarely just like a total leap into it.
Right. So what are your plans for the next couple of years for your business? Do you plan on expanding it to different demographic? Or I thought we talked a little bit about another project that you have coming up. Why don't you talk about that as well?
Yeah. Well, we definitely want to start maybe talking to some younger audiences, so high school students, maybe middle school, and working with them to talk about what their dreams are and what their passions are.
Right.
And we're both very passionate about filmmaking and writing now as well. So our most recent project was the book, Build Your Dreams, How to Make a Living Doing What You Love, which we just put out in July. So we did some book tours with that, signings and things. And the book is, whereas the movie is an inspirational piece, and the book is really designed to be specific tools and a how-to guide for pursuing your dream. Every single thing you could ever possibly need to know to pursue your dreams and make them come true. So we just put that out, and we've been promoting it. And meanwhile, we're both sort of thinking towards the future and making 2 other films right now, as well as some writing projects that we'll continue working on and see what comes of them. So I guess, do you want us to talk about the one movie? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, we'll talk about one of them. For one of the movie projects, upcoming movie projects, we've been interviewing and following high school students who are transitioning to college, and specifically focusing on their relationships, who they're dating, and how that affects their college decision making.
Okay.
So, do I stay dating this person?
Right.
Do I go to the same school as them and change my life for them?
Right.
Do we take a break, or whatever it is? It's a super stressful, crazy time in your life, and we would like to make a film that explores it and hopefully can help other kids figure out, here's some examples or some advice of what you can do.
Right. Well, speaking of dating, you guys are a couple.
Yeah.
Right? And you work together as well.
Yep.
Is that difficult to be business partners as well as a couple?
Oh my God, we were like, yes, it's so difficult. No.
I think it's actually good. I think that we do date because it makes, for example, if we're working on a project, like when we were writing the book together, everyone said, how on earth did 2 people write 1 book?
Right.
But I think because we know each other so well, it makes it easier to critique and also to motivate each other when the other person isn't feeling so excited. You've got a built-in partner to say, come on, we're doing this.
Exactly.
One thing that's really fortunate for us when we started working together on editing and writing, we really discovered that our skill sets sort of complement one another, whereas Alexis is more of a big picture thinker and the big ideas and how they all fit together. I get really into the technical aspects of editing and website making, and you can't stand the tech stuff for the most part. So it really ended up, and we got lucky, I think, just finding that out as we started working together, and those things go hand in hand and sort of help push the projects forward.
Yeah. So now that you're full on in your business, do you ever face any doubts that, okay, is this going to really work out? Can I do this for the long term? And how do you deal with those moments if you have them?
Yeah, I think doubt and fear are part of any entrepreneur, business owners, artists kind of journey. Somebody once said to us that it doesn't matter what you did today, it's what you're going to do tomorrow. So I think it's just kind of keeping one foot in the present and then always keeping an eye on the future and coming up with new projects that you're excited about.
Right.
Yeah, there's definitely doubts and fears when you're sort of out on your own, creating something. Of course, you're always opening yourself up to critique whenever you share anything with the world. So it's just, the challenge is to keep producing things and keep remembering that you're getting a wonderful chance to do something that you love. Don't give up on it just because maybe someone doesn't like it, or you wake up on the wrong side of the bed that day not feeling like doing work. You just have to keep going, and it's been a really amazing journey. And like Alexis said, looking to the future, of course, you worry oh, can we keep writing and making movies forever? I don't know about that, but you just have to keep doing it. You just come up with an idea, find the most cost-effective way to do it, try to think of a way you could hopefully at least break even on it, maybe make a little profit on it, and then just go for it.
So you guys basically live on the road, right? You're going to college campuses just about every week, almost every day, right? What is that like?
Yeah, so we travel, I think, 6 months out of the year. So it's pretty fun for us. We both love traveling, and we love that we get to always be in a new place, meet new people, and we always try and fit in some fun roadside attractions or tourist stuff when we can on the weekends when we're traveling.
And have you gotten really good reception from the college campuses, and do you find that it's becoming more popular, that people are calling you more often now?
Yeah, it really sort of, it's interesting watching somehow the audience size has been growing at each one. So when we started out, the first show, I think we actually were going around a dining hall asking people, hey, we're showing a movie over here, would you please come check it out? Whereas now, sometimes, I mean, the biggest one we did, I think, was at University of Maryland, which is her alma mater. And we did, there's 300, 400 students there, which was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
So it's a big school. And we've had multiple colleges reach out to us several times and say, hey, come back, students really love it. So yeah, I think it is growing in popularity a little bit, yeah.
And what advice do you have for someone who's thinking about starting a business? You talked a little bit about it, but do you have any specific first steps that you would suggest to someone?
Yeah, definitely. I think something that is really important and can help kind of calm you down if you get overwhelmed is find 1, 2, 3 people that are doing something that you want to do. If they're local, can you interview them and just ask them a few questions? Or perhaps if it's on a larger scale, what can you study from their life and from their path? And how can you translate that to what you want to do? Kind of gives you a blueprint for success.
Yeah, I think having a detailed step-by-step plan can really help, because a lot of people start with the big vision and that immediately overwhelms them.
Right.
How would I ever get to that point in my life?
Exactly.
So what you really need to do is reverse engineer that big vision back to the thing that you can do right now today to get closer to it. And once you can break a vision down into action, it immediately sort of gets rid of those fears and doubts and can help you get started. So that's one piece of advice. The other one, again, is to sort of get your finances in order. And as an entrepreneur starting out, we like to recommend being very cost conscious when you do that. So are there things that you can beg, borrow, or barter for? That's what we tried to do. You know, if we need a camera, do we have a friend who can lend us it? Or is someone gonna loan us their editing services for a day or something like that? So looking for ways to keep your expenses down initially.
And what piece of advice would you give to a college student who's just not sure which direction they want to go? They're still maybe deciding on a major. What would you say to that college student?
We always get that question. People tell us, I have a million dreams, which one is the right one? Or I have absolutely no idea what I'm supposed to do. So I think that the best way to actually know what your dream and passion is to just start testing stuff out in whatever way you can. Can you go to a club meeting? Can you talk to someone who's doing what you want to do? Could you do a small project? Maybe you're interested in music. Can you record a song? Different ways to test out that passion, and then you'll know, I think maybe this should just be a hobby, or I want to keep going forward with this.
One of the interviews we did, a guy named Kyle Berner, who runs Feel Goods Flip Flops, gave us this piece of advice. He said, make a bucket list of all the things you want to do before you die and just start crossing off. Start at the top, start crossing it off, and eventually you will find your passion.
I like that. Well, thank you, Chip and Alexis, for being here and being my guests on the show. I really appreciate all your advice. For more information about Chip and Alexis, their book and film, you can visit thedreamshareproject.com.